program Issues of the Moment. My name is Chimezie Ozems. On our program today, we are going to take a look into the activities of Abia Orientation Agency. Our guest is Godwin Adento, the Director General of the agency. Adento was the former Chief Press Secretary to Governor Okezie Ikpeazu. He is first and foremost a journalist, a senior professional colleague. I christen him the walking Shakespeare. Gordon, thank you for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, our viewers. You are welcome on board.
So let us start this way. How has it been superintending over the affairs of Abia Orientation Agency?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting experience because, as you know, the Abia State Orientation Agency is a novel creation by Governor Okezie Ikpeazu. We didn't have it in the States. We used to have it in the national, we still have it in the national level as the National Orientation Agency. So Imo State tried it sometime in the past, some years ago, but it didn't really come up. So I could say that Abia State is the first state to conceive that idea and create a state branch of Abia State Orientation Agency. It's a noble idea, a very great idea, and the package is rich. The package is rich. The spread through. That's a very broad spread through of activities that are conceived in that idea of the Abia State Orientation Agency. So it's been very interesting. We spent the very first few months here putting it into law, making it a legitimate agency. You know, we didn't want to just start operating by fiat. You know, having an agency that was just created by fiat. So I was interested in getting it legitimized, you know, by having it pass through the House of Assembly as a bill, and at the end of the day, it was signed into law. So it became a functional organ of state attached to the office of the governor. So I report directly to the governor. It's an agency that reports directly to the governor. And the other idea is to complement the activities of all organs of the state, all the ministries, in actually explaining and communicating the activities to the grassroots. That is to say that Abia State Orientation Agency has, you know, can operate through, we're not limited anywhere.
Yes.
We support all the ministries. We support all the ministries. We go into all the ministries and understand the activities, and now use our expertise as communication experts to drive it in the layman's language to the way that the grassroots people in Abia State will understand it and key into the policy. Our main role is to make sure that when a policy is created in the state, either by a ministry or by the executive arm, it is very well explained to the masses,
To the people.
And we kind of woo them into that policy so that they will become partners with government in driving that policy. So it's a bit of communication, but much more than communication. We don't use instruments of propaganda. We use instruments of dialogue and negotiation. It's more like evangelism kind of style. That's what you use as an orientation manager, because you are trying to change attitude, you are trying to change the values of people, you are telling them this is the right way to do, this is what government expects you to do, this is what government has in mind in this policy. We even work with government agencies, government officials. We go to them and say to them, no, your activities are going beyond boundaries, they're going beyond what the governor has in mind. Your activities on the streets are to the essence. Most of the times I've stopped my car on the way and accosted TMAS officials and have a dialogue with them. I said, no, your major role here is to make sure that traffic is flowing. It's not to be arresting people and jumping into their buses. First and foremost, make sure that this traffic is flowing. No, not to sit back and wait for an offender. Before you arrest and apprehend an offender, make sure that you're doing the first thing to ease traffic. That is the first job. So most of the times I find myself getting in to discuss these things. We've had programs, statewide programs that emphasize environmental cleanliness. In fact, we started with that. We ran a program in Abia, and we also did one in Omaha. Then we did a combined activity. We did a street walk promoting cleanliness, environmental protection, environmental harmony, and the rest. We also did another program that we call Stand Up Launch, which was a kind of orientation for state value. We're telling our people that Abia State has its own value, has its own product, has its own history, has its own special comparative advantage. There are products here that things that we manufacture, there are things that we are known for. We should promote those things, indigenous products. That was a very good program we did. The wife of the governor, Her Excellency, the Nkechi came and flagged up that campaign, and we took that campaign all through the local 17 governments in the states, and that was very, very good. We've been also involved in youth orientation. That has taken all my attention in the last 2 years because of preponderance of drug intake by our youth. That is the one area that's giving me headache all the day. We are dealing with that. As we are, in fact, when I did my initial survey with the agency for drug, the anti-agency for drug, we found that there were about 75 items that our youth take in the name of drugs. We know heroin, marijuana, cannabis, and there are so many other mixtures. They put together. The current boromiri and the rest of them. So that has been a lot of headache for the orientation agency. We go from community to community. We go to bar. We go to very popular bar in the community villages, and we sit down there and we talk to the youths. The age range of the youth you see in the bar drinking and taking these things is so alarming. It wasn't like that in our own time. At that age, we were in the school, we were in the library reading, but the youth you see now, at the age when we were in the library reading, preparing for JAM, preparing for this and exams and all that, now you see that catchment of youth in the bar. See them in some bunk where they are smoking, drinking burumbiri, and they are getting insane, getting mad. A whole generation is being endangered, and if we don't take it very serious, we're going to lose a generation of our youth who are going to take over from us. So this campaign has taken me to almost all the communities of Abia State, and it's still ongoing. As you are dealing with it, another one will come out. As I'm talking to you now, the new one that came out last week, they are missing something, another thing. They can miss 4 things together, and it becomes intoxicating. It makes them high. That's just what they want to be. It makes them high. Then there is this other campaign against the get rich quick mentality.
Yes.
The syndrome.
The
get rich quick mentality is another thing that is killing our youth. And that value reorientation is not an easy process. But we're driving it. Thank God that the governor has given us some encouragement, some good encouragement. And we find ourselves going to groups, attending some youth programs in the universities. I've gone to ABSU to give a lecture on this. I've gone to Umudike to give a lecture that I was in ABSU. I was in Abia Police some time last year to also speak to the youth, to tell them, look, ambition has to be guided. Ambition cannot be open. When ambition is not guided, when you think that you can drive any kind of ambition, then you can find yourself in the crossroad. Ambition has to be streamlined along the line of ethics, along the line of what is good and what is good and right.
Yes.
So most of the time, youth are driven by the news of their colleague who has made it, who can come from Lagos or come from Malaysia. Nowhere to build one mighty house in Abia. But they don't hear of another score that are languishing in prison in Malaysia or Indonesia.
Or even killed.
Beheaded. So what they talk about is one isolated case who survived, who have come to build a hotel in Omaha, and they're excited by that. I don't want to key into that kind of lifestyle. But out of one that succeeded, another 12 have languished in Indonesia, in Malaysia, or even beheaded and killed, or Hong Kong. So we are throwing this fast open to them and tell them, look, this is not the right path to go. This is not the right way to go. We are having a generation of our youth who, if we're not really, if we don't drive this value orientation strongly, we're going to lose them. So these are the things that have really occupied our activities in the last 3 years that the Abia State Orientation Agency, was created.
Okay.
And we also run some programs with local government officials. We were involved in, when there was this, we were involved in electoral education, civic education, telling people the need for them to be part of the electoral process, part of the political process. You have to obtain your PVC.
Okay, we will come to that. Yeah. Let us talk about your campaign on youth taking of drugs and ritual killing. It's on the increase every day. Today we are having an army of youths who have no respect for life. All they care is to make money. So when you look at these rising cases, are you worried that this campaign you're embarking on is not making the necessary impact? Are you not worried?
Yeah, that's so. I made that statement that it's giving me a lot of headache. It gives me a lot of headache. Is that the more you talk about it, you write about it in the papers. I write on the papers. Of course, I'm a journalist. I also write on the papers. I discuss these issues. I go to many fora to talk about it. I design programs on this and talk about it. But for every program you do in one local government, in fact, as you are addressing the youth in one local government, before you come out from that hall, somebody will come and tell you of another incident that's happened in another local government. So the situation is so bad. The predisposition of our youth to drug today, it should be a concern for Abia State. It should be a concern for Nigeria. It's not just in Abia State. It should be a concern for Nigeria. It should be a concern for Nigerian leaders, governors, senators, all spectra of leaders should be concerned about a generation of youth that are going extinct. They're going extinct. We're going to lose all of them by their predisposition and habit towards drugs. And now, the most heinous aspect is this ritual killing that has a correlation with the get rich quick mentality.
Yes.
Half of the ritual killings you see are being committed by people who think that through a kind of ritual process they can become rich. I don't know where that idea comes into them. I don't know how you think that if you kill somebody and collect his vital parts, collect his tongue, his heart, her breast, her private parts, you do a kind of ritual thing and it gives you money. I can't imagine. That is insanity. Most time when the culprits are apprehended by the police, the native doctor, when you see him, he's a wretched man.
Looking very haggard.
He's looking very haggard. In all the arrests that the police has made on ritual killing, the so-called prophet or Dibia or native doctor that is preparing that thing, will explain that he said that thing to see if he can dismiss them because they are desperate. Because the customer is very desperate, he wants that money. He gave that prescription, that demand to believing that they will not be able to do it. But to his shock and chagrin, he will see that by tomorrow morning they would have killed somebody and bring the vital parts.
Yes.
So it's a whole deception. It's a whole act of deception, and it's a very dangerous trend, and it's a sinful act. It's the most wicked act that any humanity can get involved in, ritual killing. So it is not just the work of the Abia State Orientation Agency. It should be the work of the churches, it should be the work of our community leaders, the traditional rulers, the youth organizations in the communities, the women association. Everybody should be talking about it.
Even civil society.
Even civil society. Everyone has to be on deck to discuss this matter so that we can re-educate our people, reorientate them, let them unlearn this kind of mentality that makes them believe that by one form of ritual process they can become rich. It's not true. You cannot reap where you have not sowed. Yes. The law of sowing and reaping is the natural law. You have a time to go to school, educate yourself, and prepare yourself for a skill that will give you the better job, give you a good job for a living. If you cannot go to school, you have the time to learn skills, acquire some handwork with which you can earn a living. So you cannot sit back in your house and begin to imagine a billion that will enter your account by deceiving somebody, by committing fraud against somebody.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And when you just go through history and see the end of people who have done all these things in the past. I can mention names, even around us here. I can mention names of people who got to the apex of this kind of crime, then see their end.
And they were caught down.
Either they were caught down, or even those who were not caught down, those kind of wealth dismissed. That is the word of God. They will fly away like the winds. Because you cannot build a nation, you cannot build a land with blood. You cannot build a land with blood. It's a natural law. It's a natural law, it's a natural reciprocal law. For every blood you shed, you're going to pay for it. There's nothing, if you like build this mansion, this hotel, one day it will become desolate. There are no many compound of people who got involved in this thing in the past. Even when we were young men, we used to fear them, we used to revere them. They say, this man, if you go to their homes now, the place is inhabited by birds.
Lizards.
Rodents. That's the word of God. So we need to talk to our youths. We need to talk to this generation. We need to ask them to go back to school. We didn't start looking for money so early in our life. People call me Shakespeare because I spent at a point in my life I used to sleep in the library.
I gave you that. The walking Shakespeare.
I used to sleep in the library reading, preparing myself. In politics, a lot of things hurt me. Part of the thing that hurt me is the aspect of knowledge that I brought into politics. It's not just to praise myself, but because I trained, I learned it. I took time to educate myself. I went to school, went to good schools, and while I was in school, I took time to read, to study. So it's an asset. I have got it. It's in me. That is why you could invite me to come and talk to you. That's why I'm being invited everywhere to speak. That is why when anything happens in this state, I'll be called upon to come and write about it, to come and do a comment, write something about it. Even those who don't like my face, even those who hate me, but they can't throw away my script, they can't throw away my writing.
Okay, at this point we are going to take a break, and when we come back, issues of the moment continues. Today my guest is the Director General, Abia State Orientation Agency, Godwin Adentro. Stay tuned.
Admission is ongoing at Living TV Film Academy, Abia State, for candidates wishing to study filmmaking and mass communication for skill certificate training and degree programs, including mandatory NYSC post-degree service. Courses offered are Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Broadcast Journalism, TV Presentation, Photo Journalism, Department of Film and Multimedia Studies, Cinematography, Acting, Video Editing, Film Production, Website Designing, Modeling and Makeup, Bead Making, Screenwriting, Theatre Arts, Department of Broadcasting, Script Writing, Journalism, Reporting, Software Programming, Mobile and Web App Development, Audio Production, Graphic Designing, Digital Animation, Special Effects, Social Media Management. Entry qualifications. Candidates must possess 5 credits in WASICAM GCE, NAPTEB or equivalents. We have the following technical infrastructure for students' skills acquisition: an arts theatre well equipped for modern digital television and radio studios open for hire to the public, an audio suite for music production, soundtracks, sound effects, jingles and voice-over, etc. A 50 feet by 40 feet chroma studio, largest in Africa for special effects, world-class rendering facilities for post-production rendering, animation and cartoon technology, assorted professional cameras, drones, etc. A film village with epic and village houses for theatre arts and epic films making. Our studies are skill-oriented with well-qualified academic and technical teachers. We also admit students on industrial training and internship from other institutions. Professional license will be issued to graduates to practice as professionals by Bollywood, a registered professional organization for filmmakers. Wow! What are you waiting for? Rush now and obtain our admission form with 2,000 naira only at our main campus, number 1 Judges Road, 5th floor, former UBA House by NEPA, Waterside Descent, Abia State, Nigeria, or visit our website, livingradio.com.ng. The Academy, Academy, www.livingtvfilmacademy.com. Email livingtvfilmacademy@gmail.com or call 0805 367 3900 or 0816 641 1400. Signed, Registrar.
Welcome back to the program. You are still watching Issues of the Moment. Our talking point today is the activities of Abia State Orientation Agency, and our guest is the DG of that very agency, Godwin Adendu. Now, Godwin, let us talk about next year's election, 2023. What do you think should be the role of your agency as we approach 2023?
Yeah, the Abia State Orientation Agency is how would I say it? We're bossed to a corner. We're bossed to a corner because we have to study the political environment where you are and be able to expand ideas and theories and activities that advance the political environment. I know what I'm talking about. That this agency is created by state. It's an organ of the state. But when we look at Abia State, I would say that Abia State needs something that should be another orientation. There should be another orientation that the next regime should bring into Abia State. There should be an extension. Governor Kesi Bazo has reputed Abia to the best that he has done. If you consider where we're coming from by 2015, yes, how this Abia was, how Abia State was, and you look at the extent of activities Governor Kesi has done,
it's commendable.
It's quite commendable. So we should be looking for a leader who was also raised the ante.
The bar.
Who raised the bar, who will up the ante, that's what we say, who will up the ante. Do you understand? We should be looking at a leader who will up the ante so that Abia should be a progressive experience. But at the point in Abia, it looks like Abia was stagnated. People will always make comparison with Abia and other states. And most of those comparisons were true. Thank God for the sacrifice that Governor Kesi has made to rebuild this place. Before, it used to take me more than 3 hours to move from Obike Abia Junction through Ukebu to town. But now I do it in 5 minutes. Of course, you know that the Henry Road, all those roads were totally impassable.
Yes.
For almost 20 years in this state.
You are right.
The new roads, all the roads that the governor is doing now, Osusu Road, Ungwa Road, Obohia Road, those roads were abandoned for over 20, 30 years. So you wonder how we could be in a state where such central roads in the city could be abandoned for that long. So this has created a lot of work for Governor Kesi, and that is why you see that he's struggling under an intense pressure to certify Abia, because at the point in this state, it was as if the state was just abandoned. So what we should be looking at in 2023 is a leader who will now key into that progress, that progressive vision, and take Abia to the next level. We talk about, Governor Kesi has done 1 flyover. The next governor should be able to do 2 flyover, 3 flyover, 4 flyover, so that we should have a sustained progressive experience in Abia State. So that is that's what I think about. That is the thinking of the Abia State Orientation Agency. We are not going to be moved by party sentiment or group sentiment. We're looking at a leader that we could support, who could advance his program, but with a leader who has the capacity to raise the bar, to take the baton from Governor Kesi Bazo and impress Abians, go higher than Governor Kesi Bazo has done. Of course, the next leader is not going to suffer the early difficulties that the Governor Kesi suffered. arrays of court cases that got to the Supreme Court. Of course, you know that. He went to the Supreme Court about 2-3 times. Those things were great distractions. So we pray that the next governor of Abia State is not going to go past those difficulties. So you should have a seamless way and just launch into development immediately and raise the bar from where the governor has stopped.
Yes.
So that is my thinking as the teacher representative.
Okay, don't you think that the agency should embark on a campaign telling Abians that, look, we should emphasize on competence, we should emphasize on merit instead of this zonal arrangement? People say it is our turn to produce the next governor in 2023, that we should emphasize on competence, somebody who has what it takes to move Abia forward.
Yeah, the zonal arrangement is a bedrock of harmony. That is why you can't jump the bar. The zonal arrangement is the bedrock of harmony. Of course, you know that in a situation where there is no harmony, where the ceremonial laws are broken down, we cannot, the law and order cannot be sustained.
Yes.
So that is why that zonal arrangement is the bedrock. It's a standard for harmony, for peace, for even the progress we're talking about in Abia. So that is why we also support that zonal arrangement. We have studied the Abia Charter of Equity, and it's very clear on how power should rotate in Abia State. And I strongly and totally believe in it. There's a great vision of our founding fathers that we should be respected, and we should respect it in Abia State, and worked according to the letters and spirit of that charter. And that charter was clear. But that charter did not envisage senatorial arrangement. I have studied it. It didn't envisage senatorial arrangement. That Abia did not talk about Abia North, Abia South, Abia Central. That charter was very concise and very explicit on Old Bende and Abba division. That is the letter and tenet of that charter. So anybody that is trying to do anything different from that charter is calling for anarchy in Abia State, and we don't need that kind of thing. So let us go back to that charter and obey the spirit of our founding fathers and adhere to their vision of a peaceful coexistence in Abia State. We cannot have one zone ruling for 23 years, 24 years, and another zone is just having a shot for 8 years, and you think that there won't be acrimony. There must be acrimony. There must be some ill-feeling among the people. And the essence of that charter of equity is to resolve these issues of acrimony, this fear of domination, fear of marginalization, fear of one greater person dominating a Goliath, dominating a David. That was the spirit. That was what that charter of equity tried to resolve in Abia State. So when you follow that charter, and we have come to that level right now, the charter is being discussed. Many people that are even talking about it are very ignorant about it. They don't even know the letters of that charter. I spent time, I studied it. I had to go and get a copy for myself, and so that anywhere I'm talking, I can talk authoritatively. I can defend it with all my blood. You see? So the mistake of that rotation was actually committed by the first governor, executive governor of Abia State, that is August Okalu. But after his 8 years tenure, he was supposed to hand over to the Abba, somebody from the Abba division.
Yes.
But instead of doing that, he went and retained the power in the Old Bend by handing it over to Governor Senator T.Oji, who is from the central of Old Bend.
Yes.
Old Bend. That was when the mistake was made. You know, and those who were close to him then, I wasn't close to him. He said that the power will not jump to the south. It has to move and stop somewhere and move to the south or to the Abia division area. So there is always a time to correct an anomaly. For me, I think this is the time to correct that anomaly. I think this is the time to correct that anomaly. This is the time for us to return to that charter and have power rotate between these two divisions for equitable distribution of resources, for peaceful harmony among all the segments of the state. So that is the first bedrock. When that is established, we will now look at competence, integrity, capacity. Who has these qualities within this area, not just anybody. I can tell you that Abians may not, Abians as they are today, if you study their mood and their temperament today, they are no more driven by any clannish spirit.
Yes.
There's no more bandwagon followership. Abians are going to be looking for integrity, they're going to look for capacity. They're going to look for somebody that they're going to follow somebody they feel that can flag that flag. They don't want anybody that will reduce the progress that Governor Gesiba has made. So that is the expectations we have for 2023.
Okay, still talking about our next year's election, are there plans by your agency to ensure that the people participate in the electoral process by obtaining their permanent voters card?
Yes, currently, that is the campaign we have in our hand now. We are talking to groups, we are working with the party, moving with the party as they move from one government to the other. I'm talking about the need for people to acquire their PVCs, because PVCs is the instrument with which they can assert their right. When you have your PVC, you cannot assert your right by deciding on who to vote or who not to vote. So it can't be in your heart. I'm talking about change of government or about the right leadership or the right party when you don't have the PVC. We're also giving a lot of electoral education. When the electoral program was released, we took it out, studied it, and we've been interpreting it to people, to groups, interpreting it, telling them the calendar, the electoral calendar. This is how it's supposed to be. So when we also get to the campaigns proper,
yes,
we're going to be part of the process. So after the politicians have spoken, we will also come and speak on our own, talk about the need to curb thuggery, snatching of ballot boxes,
vote
buying, and other crime, electoral crime. That is where my own office falls.
Yes.
So when the politician has spoken and called for vote, I will also mark the rosum and say, please, this is not the time for vote buying. This is not the time for thuggery. This is not the time when you have to kill your brother for the sake of your leader. This is not the time to go and burn anybody's house, burn anybody's car, and do the kind of arson that we used to witness and other violent activities that we used to witness during the electoral process. So ongoing now, this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be following the party. Of course, Abia State is the PDP state. So as the party moves, we're going to be moving with the party. As I live here today, now we're going to Obiungwa. The party authorities in the state are visiting Obiungwa today. I'm going to be part of that process. I'm going to get time to also speak. So when we get into the election proper, the campaign proper, I will take the upper stage and be talking alongside with any other person that will speak and talk about the area of attitude, proper electoral attitude, proper electoral conduct, behavioral conduct. Do you understand? That is where orientation comes in.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Godwin Aden. Better, before we draw the curtain on today's edition of Issues of the Moment, I want you to talk to Abians concerning next year's election.
Well, Abians should be ready. Get your voter's card. Get prepared to come out and vote. Vote from your conscience. Make sure that you're not bored. Your mind is not bored. Your conscience is not bored. But first and foremost, let's vote somebody who will sustain the progress that Governor Christian has made in the state. Not somebody that will still come and bench that flow of good tidings that we've experienced since 2015. So that is very, very important. Let's vote in somebody that will up the ante and take Abia to another level where Governor Christian has pitched it.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of Issues of the Moment. For the past 30 minutes, we have been talking with the Director General, Abia State Orientation Agency, Godwin Adendo. He is a journalist, like I said during the outset of this program. Godwin, it's a pleasure having you on our program.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For coming.
Great host.
And my name is Chimezie Ozems. I also want to thank you for being part of today's edition of our program. Join us on Friday for another interesting package.